The Global Interpreter Lock or GIL. If you don't know what the GIL is, or if you've ever wondered why Python struggles so much with true multi-threading, or how the GIL affects your code, this video is for you. So grab
Yeah, let me before we hop in, we are going to ask Cloudy what the guild and multi-threading is. What is the guild? Multi-threading pertaining to Python. Explain next for yikes. Okay. Imagine you're having a special toy and the Guild Global Interpreter Locks is the rule that says only one person can play with that toy at a time. Even if you have a lot of friends who want to play with it, like threads, the Guild makes sure one friend gets to use the toy at any moment. You know how Python works. Even when you try to do as many things at once, the Guild makes sure only one thing happens at a time to keep everything safe and organized with basketball. Oh, imagine playing basketball and there's one ball. It's like the Guild. Even if you have five players on your team, like right, only one person can have the ball at a time. That's how Python works. Oh, so you can have multiple objects or multiple things within that's like ready to work or be automated, but only one thing occurs at one time. It's not like all occurring at once. God damn. Okay, I get it.
your coffee and let's break it down. The Global Interpreter Lock or GIL is a mutex, a mutual exclusion lock, that protects access to Python objects in CPython, which is the default implementation of Python. It's like a traffic light for threads in your program, making sure only one thread can execute Python bytecode at a time. To understand why the GIL exists, we need to rewind to Python's early days. CPython, which is Python's reference implementation, manages memory using a technique called reference counting. This keeps track of how many references point to an object and automatically frees up memory when the count drops to zero. But here's the catch: reference counting is not thread safe. Without some kind of lock, multiple threads could update these counts simultaneously, leading to crashes or corrupted data. The GIL was introduced as a simple way to make CPython thread safe. Here's how the GIL works in practice. Imagine you have multiple threads in your Python program. The GIL ensures that only one thread at a time can execute Python code. When a thread holds the GIL, other threads have to wait, even if they're ready to run. But wait, what if a thread is doing something slow, like waiting for a file to load or fetching data from the internet? The GIL can be released during these I/O operations, which allows other threads to run. The GIL's biggest drawback is that it prevents Python from achieving true parallelism in multi-threaded programs. Even on multi-core CPUs,
Wait, is it because that if you give it too much task to run at once, it may run a task that's like not in sequential order, even though it's able to run multiple threaded tasks? Because it sounds like that would be the only reason why I don't like why I even have the guild.
only one thread can execute Python bytecode at a time. This means that for CPU-bound tasks like heavy computations or data processing, threads can't utilize multiple cores effectively. Instead, Python relies on process-based parallelism using libraries like multiprocessing to bypass the GIL. Each process has its own GIL, so they can run on separate cores. So what can you do if the GIL is slowing you down? Here are a few options. The first is to use multiprocessing. The multiprocessing library creates separate processes instead of threads, each with its own GIL, and this allows your program to utilize multiple CPU cores. The second option is to leverage C extensions. Libraries like NumPy or TensorFlow perform heavy computations in C outside of the GIL's control, so they can achieve true parallelism. The third option is to switch Python implementations. Consider alternatives like Jython or IronPython, which don't have a GIL, or PyPy, which optimizes performance for certain workloads. The fourth option is to try async programming. For I/O-bound tasks, Python's async I/O lets you manage multiple tasks without relying on threads. The Python community has debated removing the GIL for years, but it's not that simple. The GIL is a well-known feature and limitation of CPython, and it's undergoing major changes. With the acceptance of PEP 703, where PEP stands for Python Enhancement Proposals, the Python Steering Council has decided to make the GIL optional. And this initiative represents a significant evolution in Python's design, which opens up new opportunities for true multi-threading. The primary aim is to improve the performance of CPU-bound tasks while maintaining backwards compatibility with the extensive Python ecosystem. As of Python 3.13, Python now offers an experimental no-GIL mode that allows developers to build and use Python without the GIL. This feature is not yet the default, but provides a sandbox for developers to experiment and offer feedback. Developers can explicitly build C Python without the GIL using the disable GIL flag. And let's remember that Python's memory management uses reference counting and cyclic garbage collection to manage object lifetimes. Reference counting involves keeping a counter for every object that tracks how many references point to it. When the count drops to 0, the object is deallocated. In the no-GIL mode, these counters are updated using atomic operations to ensure thread safety when multiple threads modify reference count.
Nah, so the GIL is dead, and we're able to use a GIL-less version. JPython doesn't support Python 3. I do a lot of work in Kivy, and one of the most annoying things, especially when an average smartphone has multiple cores, Python multiprocessor module sadly isn't compatible with Android. Oh, so it's not cross-compatible. I thought you'd be gonna try to no GIL flag it. This video might have just provided me with a wonderful solution. All right, that's dope. Condensed to knowledge. Not yet. I mean, this is one of the only reviews where I was just like locked in. I wanted to see what it was exactly. The only thing I could say I did was research what the guild was, but if I waited, he'd have described it all in 5 minutes and 8 seconds. So like, that's a nice detailed way on how to use Python, what the guild is, and what multi-threaded is. Give him a subscribe and like. Tell him I reviewed it, man. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. There you go.